Joe here with CustomRCMods, and we are back with the Cessna 185 Skywagon from EDOMODEL. Again, maybe some sort of European brand or a Chinese or Banggood, AliExpress kind of deal. I'm not totally sure about it, but it's a super cool airplane. I did want to go ahead and run through my battery mounting situation. As I touched on in the last video, I'm running two 2200 milliamp hour 3-cell batteries here, and as you can see, I've got them both just stuck in right in between this little gap, and the ESC's right down there as well. You can see in order for the ESC wires to actually fit, it needs to be at a certain angle, and if I coupled both of these XT60s together, then unfortunately it just wouldn't work. I've tried it. I do have a parallel connector at home, but I'm gonna have to figure something out, maybe add a little bit more wire and less of just a hard connection. But either way, I digress. We're gonna go ahead and close up this custom hatch I made, and we will be on our way here with the Cessna 185 Skywagon. So I've got my throttle cut off. I really like the smooth throttle delivery that this propeller has. This motor and propeller setup is awesome for this airplane. As you can see, we are struggling to taxi a little bit over the inconsistent ground, but it works just fine. Now, wind direction is that way, so let's go ahead and get it pointed that direction, and we're going to take right off. No flaps necessary. Track super straight, even again over the rough ground, so I'm very, very happy for that. Now, this plane is very usable as a bank and yank aircraft if you're just learning to fly. I think if you have one of these planes, it's not too bad, but it's worth just considering that this thing, it really flies very scale too as well. So what I mean by that is that you can fly it, you can just bank the plane right over, but if you add a little bit of rudder in there, look, it just flies so much nicer. It's much more forgiving, and it's so much more scale. Whereas if you just, oh, almost dumped it in there, getting a little too cocky, a little too low to the ground. But if you tend to just flex the wings back and forth by jamming the ailerons, it just doesn't look quite right, and that's where you add a lot of unnecessary load to your wings. Now, you can't fly this thing like a sport plane, unfortunately, especially without the wing struts, so I'm not gonna go too crazy with it, but as you can see, this thing does carry speed, and it's not a bad airplane. It's very enjoyable even for an advanced flyer. I see a lot of trainer style airplanes that are just no fun once you become an intermediate to advanced pilot, but this thing is just smooth, throttle on, throttle off. It is such a consistently good flying airplane, and it is a lot of fun. So again, I have no clue where you can get one of these things. I even looked it up on the internet, and I didn't find too much. I think I saw like 1 or 2 pictures of this plane, but I'm not sure what the brand is about, if it's a smaller brand of a larger hobby company, or if there's anything other like that, or if it's just something that was an off-brand off of Banggood or AliExpress like I've already mentioned. So I'm not totally sure, but either way, this plane is a lot of fun, and if you ever see one, I mean, I definitely recommend getting your hands on it, because it's one of a kind. And we're just gonna dump it down, and again, you really got to be careful. It's very prone to bouncing on a landing there, so if you're looking for something scale, maybe you want to go to asphalt or to a prepared grass surface. I'm not totally sure, but this rough, aerated, snowy ground that's very rock hard is very inconsistent, and you're not going to get the best results with that. So I'm going to dump the flaps here, and this thing slows down almost to a crawl. You can see, obviously you're going to lose a lot of aileron authority being a high wing airplane, so you got to be careful, especially when you're approaching the ground. But out of the flaps now, and it's a good idea to get right in the throttle when you lose the flaps, because the airplane will tend to dip, especially if you're going slow. The flaps essentially reshape the airfoil so that it can still produce lift at a slower speed, and of course deflecting some of that air down tends to push the plane up, as well as just slow it down in general. So once you put the flaps up, you're going to be at a very, very slow speed that may cause the plane to stall. So be careful of that, especially if you're a new pilot and you're just messing around with flaps for the first time. But most of these foam airplanes don't really need any flaps. So it's just more novelty than anything else. So don't get stressed out on using them if you're not totally comfortable with the conditions. Like if it's ever super windy or super snowy or anything like that, or the ground is inconsistent, I'm not going to try a flaps landing because it just makes it a lot more difficult. It adds a lot more variables, and sometimes you're so focused on everything else going on with controlling the plane that you forget to watch out for tip stalls, and you end up losing the plane into a tip stall related dive, and then that's just not good. So you want to make sure to go ahead and watch out for that as you are messing around with flaps. This is just really interesting because I feel my elevator control is super mushy, and that's because when you start to use the elevator, you can kind of see the wings flexing like that, which is not ideal. But essentially what that's doing is when I jerk on the elevator, I'm not going to instantly get feedback from the airplane pointing the nose upward. I'm actually going to get a little bit of wing flex first, and then it will go ahead and give me my desired feedback. Just like that, you can see as they were going towards me. It's really hard to be precise on the elevator, just because, again, a lot of that throw is lost in just wing flex and not the plane responding accurately. So I think I'm going to go ahead and maybe add even some string for wing struts, because I do have the mounting holes on the airplane all ready to go. I just have to go ahead and add those struts. I know that they are probably like metal bars or wooden bars or something like that in the past, but this is something super necessary for the airplane, just so I don't have any trouble with folding the wings in the future. But other than that, I mean, nothing really to complain about with this thing. It's, like I said, a very light plane. It's big. The wing surface area is pretty large compared to the overall weight of the plane. So that's definitely something you have to keep in mind when choosing to fly something like this on a windy day. And it's not even that windy today. It's just a little breezy, probably no more than 10-mile-per-hour gusts. But that's still something that's very, very important to watch out for when flying a light plane that's big and that is essentially a big sail. You just gotta be careful. Okay, so I got my right wheel down first there on that landing, and yeah, and we're kind of stuck now, I guess. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video there. That was a pretty good flight with this plane. There are a few things I have to go ahead and do to this, like adding those wing struts and maybe adding a parallel connector for longer flights in the future. But overall, I'm very excited about this EDO model, whatever you want to call it, Cessna 1825 Skywagon. It's the EPS foam. It is a super cool plane, and you'll definitely be seeing more with them on the channel. If you guys have any video requests related to this aircraft or anything in RC in general, make sure to go ahead and reach out to me in the comments section down below. Go ahead and, of course, also follow me on my other platforms, Instagram, TikTok. Join my Discord server if you'd like. I'm always open and welcome to adding new members to this awesome community we have. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.